Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a special Thursday edition of No Huddle Rodeo. Little different schedule this week. We had Wednesday for the morning kick. We took a look at the chaotic team roping race on both sides there. Then today, Thursday, we're looking at the bubble and all the rough stock events. And then Friday, 2 episodes of No Huddle Rodeo this week. We are also looking at the bubble in the timed events on Friday. That'll be team roping both sides, tie down roping, steer wrestling. Little harder to get as much up to the date information about the barrel racing and breakaway roping, but we will try to do a bubble breakdown for that. So this is the rough stock version of that show. All things bubble talk. We are presented as always by Runyon's Fine Furniture and Justin Boots. And we are coming to you as always from the Fort Worth Stockyards. And this is super simple. We're just going to go event by event. It's hard to pick an exact cutoff of where the bubble starts, where the bubble begins. So some are going to be bigger than others in terms of how many guys we talk about, but basically anyone, I think, who still has a realistic chance to make it, we will discuss. And so let's get right into it in the bareback riding. Last year, took about $128,000 to make it in that number 15 spot. Usually that goes up a little bit year to year, 5-10% for what it takes in that 15 spot to get in there. But this year, in the bareback riding, I think that's about what it's going to take to get that final spot. Because when you look at it, number 14, Mason Clemens, has $116,841. Right behind him is Nick Pelkey, the Fort Worth champion, $116,487. Pelkey trying to make his first NFR. Clemens trying to make his 5th NFR, get back there for the first time since 2023. And Clemens did what he had to do over the weekend. He entered number 14. He stayed number 14 for a win at the Othello PRCA Rodeo. And it's important that he stayed in that spot because there was a guy in Jacek Frost who has jumped everybody. He was number 23 just 2 weeks ago, but with his Pendleton win now and his Puyallup win, he's up to number 10 in the world. So that tells you how fast things can change with these big rodeos, with the Rough Rider Cup, with the Governor's Cup. Again, I want to remind everybody that none of this is set in stone, as we saw with Jacek Frost moving up 13 spots with just 2 big wins over the weekend. But so we continue on. All over 116,000. Clements, Pelkey. Then we get to RC Landingham, number 16. And he has stayed number 16 for the past couple weeks. He's won about $4,000 in September, which isn't quite going to get it done. He's going to need to hit the gas there, but this is a guy who made the top 10 last year. It was his 3rd career top 10 finish in the bareback riding, and talked to him earlier about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he kind of said, like, hey, my career, my legacy, I've already made the NFR 5 times. So yes, I'd love to make it. I'm not getting stressed about it. I'm just going to ride my best and see where the chips fall because like he said, he's kind of going, hey, my legacy, what I've wanted to accomplish in pro rodeo, haven't won a world championship, but have gotten up there a couple times, made the NFR 5 times. He does seem in his mid-30s pretty content with how his career has gone. Now, when we go to 17, Jake Lee's about $3,000 behind RC Landingham. But this gets super interesting because Jake Lee's at number 17 in the world. He is the only one on this bubble, the only one 13 through 20 right now who is going to the Governor's Cup. And you'll hear me mention that in some other events, and that gets incredibly, incredibly important because Jake Lee's could win a round or get second in a round at the Governor's Cup as he has done before and win between $8,000 and $10,000, snap his fingers, be right back in the NFR for the 3rd year in a row. Both him and Mason Clements in 2023 had terrific performances in the first 2 rounds of the Governor's Cup. They both won over $15,000, and I forgot the exact how it went down, but this was the last week of the season. I forgot the exact numbers, but I believe Jake Lee's went something like from number 17 to number 12, and Mason Clemens went from something like number 21 to number 13 by winning the first 2 rounds. I think they were 1-2 in the first 2 rounds of the Governor's Cup. And so if you do that, which Jake Lees is the only one who has an opportunity to do that, and he's had plenty of success doing that already in his career, he may be, despite being number 17, in the driver's seat for one of those final 2 spots. Still fighting him, continuing on down, a couple veterans, Richie Champion and Oren Larson. Richie looking for NFR number 10. Oren just hit NFR number 10. They both got a little bit of work to do, but the Rough Rider Cup, where everyone in the top 24 is going to be, same type of deal at the Governor's Cup. If Richmond Champion or Oren Larson, both of whom are capable of winning that Rough Rider Cup, they are both instantly in the top 15. Again, Jake Lees also has that opportunity. He just gets the extra opportunity from the Governor's Cup. And don't forget, Rough Stock events, they've got that duel in the Dunes in Colorado to close the year. So I'm setting this up, but I'm mostly setting the table. The bubble will not end up this way. It will not look exactly like this in any of the events. And then you continue on down. You've got Clay Jorgensen, Weston Timberman, Tilden Hooper, Tanner Oss, Cole Reiner, all kind of in that 20 to 25 range. So some really, really competitive guys in the Bareback 20 through 25. Not typically guys you see with a big advantage, but again, I will lay it out for a third time already. When you have Rough Rider Cup, Governor's Cup, duel at the Dunes, you then have those opportunities to get in down the stretch with 1 or 2 good rides, but really just one ride. I mean, one 90-point ride at the right time, and you could see Weston Timberman shoot up, Tilden Hooper, Cole Reiner, Tanner Ross, you name it, and all of those people obviously are very, very capable of making just that one big ride. And so that's oftentimes in all the events, one big rider run at the right time is what it does come down to. And so that being said, we'll go to saddle bronc riding, and in saddle bronc riding, there is a guy who has made those exact type of rides that we are talking about, and that is Lefty Holman. He has gone from number 17 or number 16 entering last weekend to number 13. He was over $13,000, behind number 15 just 2 weeks ago. But since September 5th, he has won over $25,000, champion of the Lewiston Roundup, champion of Utah's own Pro Rodeo, and champion over this past weekend of the New Mexico State Fair and Rodeo. So Lefty riding more confidently and better than any of these saddle bronc riding bubble guys. Next guy, Wyatt Casper, fighting for every single inch. He fractured his ankle. He's only gotten on about 10 horses in the last month. He won about 4,000 in Puyallup. He's just trying to make the most of it wherever he can. And remember, the Rough Rider Cup is the final playoff rodeo before we get to the Governor's Cup. Wyatt Casper sits number 9 right now in those playoff standings, which, because Ben Anderson is outside the top 8 and he made the Governor's Cup final, that spot will then, or because there are guys in the top 8, who have made that final, Wyatt Casper is in position based on some of the automatic qualification stuff where all he has to do is hold his playoff spot and he will get one of those Governor's Cup opportunities. And we've seen Wyatt Casper at events like the Extreme Bulls finale, let's say, or the National Finals Rodeo where he won the average last year against the best in the world. He can show up, and he's not really a guy like Jake Lees or Mason Clemens or someone I talked about in the Governor's Cup and the bareback riding who will make that one huge ride. But I promise you, if you give Wyatt Casper a chance to get on 3 or 4 good horses, he'll make 3 or 4 86 or 87-point rides when it matters the most, and that will probably be enough to get him into the NFR. So big opportunities there. Got a little ahead of myself talking about number 15, 3,000 back of Wyatt Casper. Ben Anderson has been 15 or 16 basically since the beginning of August. But the most important thing he has done riding broncs since the beginning of August, he made the finals. He made that All-Canadian finals in Puyallup. So He is in the Governor's Cup at number 15, which is obviously a big, big advantage. Then there's Chase Brooks at number 16. He's fighting for another NFR. About $2,000 behind Ben Anderson. And again, the bad news for Chase Brooks is he will not have that same Governor's Cup opportunity as the guy he is chasing. So it's going to be a lot more difficult for Chase Brooks. Colby Wanchuk behind him, who's 17th in the world, 25th in the playoff standings. Q Taylor, a little better road for Q Taylor because he was number 20 last week. He moves up to number 18, makes that massive 91-point ride to win Pendleton. But equally as important as the 15,000 plus he wins in Pendleton is the fact that Q Taylor, number 8 in the playoff standings. So he will have his opportunity at the Governor's Cup to go from number 18 in the world. And he's still got $16,000 to make up on Ben Anderson. But, you know, if you win the Governor's Cup, that's 30, 40,000 right there. And if you place in some rounds along the way, that's 35,000. If you even make the finals, if he makes the finals there and Ben Anderson doesn't, a good chance for Q Taylor. And then again, Duel at the Dunes still looming there. And so that's kind of your overview of the saddle bronc riding. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Logan Hay, who's moved down a little bit in the standings, but part of that all-Canadian final, him, Zeke Thurston, Dawson Hay, Ben Anderson, those guys know each other really well. Logan Hay, a big ride machine, is in position to be at the Governor's Cup. And again, you're telling me Logan Hay can't go 92 points when it matters the most and stun everybody? I would not count him out either, although he has slipped down closer to the 20th spot than the number 15 spot of late. We now finish with the bull riding. And quite honestly, the bull riding bubble is a lot smaller than the ones we just named. You're going through the bareback riding especially, and it's up to 12 guys for 2 spots. You go to the saddle bronc riding. Realistically, it's probably 6 guys, 5 or 6 guys for the last 3 spots. If you look at the bull riding in terms of what is realistic on the bubble, it's really only 13 through 17. So it's 3 guys fighting for those final 5 spots. Number 13, Bryce Jensen. He has held his spot over the weekend. He was number 13 entering the weekend. He remains number 13, 7,000 at the Lewiston Extreme Bowls this month. 3 checks of over $3,000 for 3 big qualified rides. And in the bull riding, that's really all it takes. So Bryce Jensen just doing what he has to do. Also important, number 9 in those playoff standings. Kai Hamilton and Wasey Shala among the automatic qualifiers. So 1 through 10 will probably automatically make the Governor's Cup, along with Hayden Welsh. Jesse Petrie up there, who we're going to talk about next, number 14. He made that final in Puyallup. He's actually 3rd in the playoff standings, so it's really 1 through 11, because Petrie, you would think outside the top 15 wouldn't be that high up in the playoff standings, but he is. He's number 14 in the world, number 3 in the playoff standings. I mentioned he won $5,000 for making the finals in Puyallup, but more importantly, made the Governor's Cup. And I want to point out in the bull riding, it really can be in any of these 3 events that I've named coming up. If you make one good bull ride, if you make one 89-point or better bull ride, and you're any of these guys 13 through 15, that's probably all it takes. You are probably safe if that happens, because you look at it, you go to Luke Mackey next. So Bryce Jensen, about 137,000, Petrie, 135,000, Mackey, 131,000. Luke Mackey won over $10,000 at the Extreme Bowls finale. He has moved up from outside the bubble or outside the top 15 into the top 15 over the last 2 weeks. But what I wanted to point it out is then the drop off between Luke Mackey and Luke Mast is about $10,000. And then the drop off from there to Jace Trusclair is another $6,000. And so you look at Mackey, who's only got 2 qualified rides in September. He's got some work to do. And then Trusclair, who's 1 for 12 in September. Those guys could change their fortunes. And again, it only takes 1 bull ride to change your fortunes. We saw Jordan Spears do that in Pendleton. He went from right around 15 up near the top 10 in the world because he went 2 for 2. And he had bucked off 8 in a row before that. So it is not impossible, but the bubble is far less wide open in the bull riding, where the three guys 13 through 15 are really in control of that race. And it will take a lot for a guy ranked 16th, for a guy ranked 17th to get up there and sneak up on them. And then you look at the standings, and there's kind of a big drop off there. You got Mason Spain at $111,000, Colton Fritzland at $111,000, Tristan Mize at $109,000, Clay Sellers $105,000, Trevor Rice to $104,000. So, Fritzland, Sellers, Rice, guys who have made the NFR before, don't count them out for one big ride, but they still got $20,000 to make up. So you look at it, even compare it to, the Bronc riding, for example, number 15 through number 18 separated by $16,000. You look at Bareback riding, number 15 and number 20 separated by about $10,000. But then you go to the bull riding, and it's number 15 and number 16 separated by $15,000. Number 15 and number 17 separated by another $20,000 or so. So it's a little less hairy in the bull riding than it is for the other events. But for the final reminder, bull riding can just stop on a dime. So many guys get bucked off. There's ground money in play. So this bull riding race, we're going to track that closer than all the other ones, because this could be, half the guys could shuffle in and out of the bubble heading in to that final week of the season. So I've tried my best. I think I've done a pretty good job. It's a lot to sort through. It's a lot to go through 20 names in less than 20 minutes with the stakes of the NFR on the line, but that is just setting the table for what the final 2 weeks in the rough stock events look like. And so just some stuff. I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with kind of 3 really key things to watch out for. I hope you've gleaned some other things to watch out for, but in the bareback riding, I'm watching, can Jake Lees make a move in the Governor's Cup? And then can someone from that 21 through 24 range, your Cole Reiners, Tanner Ross, Weston Timmerman, Tilden Hooper, can one of them make a big ride at the Rough Rider Cup, win a lot of money at the Rough Rider Cup or somewhere else and get into that bubble race? So that is what we are watching in the bareback riding. In the saddle bronc riding, we are watching what can Ben Anderson at the 15 spot do with his opportunity at the Governor's Cup, the glorious opportunity that he was given at the Governor's Cup. And then can Q Taylor continue his rise from number 20 with 3 weeks to go left in the season? Can he stay hot? And can he take advantage at the Governor's Cup as one of the final guys to make it, which really illustrates the value of that PRCA playoff series? And then finally in the bull riding, we're just looking at, is there going to be ground money chaos at any of these events that greatly helps someone outside the top 15? Because I'm not saying that is what it's going to take, but that would help a ton if you are Luke Mass, Jay Strauss-Claire, Mason Spain, Colton Fritzland, Tristan Mize, Clay Sellers, Dustin Bouquet, whoever you want to name in there, all those guys, not with super high chances, but all with realistic shots. So same thing as the bareback riding. Can a guy in that 20th ranked range sneak up, give himself an opportunity heading into the final 10 days of the regular season? So we've given you some names to watch, some storylines to watch. I'm a little out of breath. We're brought to you by Runyon's Fine Furniture. We're brought to you by Justin Boots. And remember, Thursday today, special Friday edition. We're doing the exact same thing I just did with the timed events tomorrow, breaking down all things bubble on both sides of the team roping, the steer wrestling, as well as the tie-down roping. So we hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it helpful. And I hope you enjoy the fact there are 2 episodes of No Huddle Rodeo this week. Until then, I will see you tomorrow. This is US Cowboy. And again, we're coming to you from the Fort Worth Stockyards, brought to you by Runyon's Fine Furniture and Justin Boots. Like, subscribe. Thank you for watching. And again, we'll see you Friday.